to beatbrokers.com.
Which one am I gonna play today? Woo! Yeah, buddy. Let's go. Woo! Gotta clean that up. Get that crispiness. I started out in the industry somewhere around 8 years old. A good friend of mine, Steve, who's my mentor, he had turntables already. I started off as a DJ, actually. That's where the name DJ Nate D comes from. Because of my age at the time, I used to always watch him DJing with his friends. You know, they were a couple of years older than me, and you know, they had turntables, 1200s, which I still have actually to this day and still use here in the studio. At the time, they were DJing like house music and new wave, and hip-hop wasn't really their forte in the DJ crew. It was a crew of about 4 or 5 DJs, and they all pretty much dabbled in the same areas of house music and things like that. So they didn't really have like a hip-hop DJ in the crew, and I was all about hip-hop, but I mean, I'm 8 years old. I couldn't consider myself an asset to the DJ crew at the time. And one day, I came downstairs to Steve's house. He had a school trip. He left me at his house playing with toys or whatever, and that was my opportunity. I already knew how to turn on all the equipment. I've been watching them doing it. I've been watching them mixing and using the records and all that other stuff. So I just needed a chance to mess around and try it out. So as soon as he left, I snuck into his bedroom and turned everything on, and I just started putting on records. And he forgot something. He forgot his pass to school or something. All I know is 20 minutes later, Steve came back and caught me standing on a milk crate, messing around with his very expensive equipment. So he was pretty pissed off to see me having touched his equipment. And the first thing he did was he asked, "What records did you play? I'm gonna check. If there's a scratch on any record, you're gonna get it." And I was just like, I tried all these records out right here. And I only really got to play like 3 records, and he checked them to make sure there was no scratches on them. And he looked at me, he was just like, "Look, I want to teach you how to DJ, but it has to be with me here because these are not my turntables. Those were a friend of his turntables who was older than him." So anyways, he slowly started teaching me how to DJ. Before you know it, within a few months, I became the hip-hop DJ of the crew and did my first party probably when I was like 8.5 years old. I don't even think I was 9 yet. All I know is that when I came on, they announced the first 8, 9-year-old kid DJing hip-hop, and everybody turned to the booth, and there I was standing on the milk crate because I couldn't reach the turntables. And I'm up there and I'm cutting and scratching at the time. We formed a new DJ crew. It was Steve, Bob, Arnold, Rick, and myself. So that's how I got started. And before you know it, I was just like, you know what, I can make this music. I was just like, the music that I'm playing for people, I could make this myself in the studio. And I started getting that passion for it, and that's how I started to build my own studio.
We posted on the block. When shit gets hot, we put surveillance on the cops. In my hood, the hustle never stops. Still counting money while they watch. As I'm cruising the street, and ain't no way back in the sea. Ain't nobody fucking with me. Ain't nobody fucking with me.
So in the interim, as I was learning, you know, how to produce and I was DJing, I actually did form a typical career. I got into the IT business. I was in computer support, and I was basically like a computer geek for a while. And I, you know, went from one job to another, eventually landed at MTV and worked there for a while. And that was like the best job. The entire staff was young. There was all kinds of parties all the time in the building, like office parties, drinking after work in Times Square, going to all the little jump off after work parties. So I was doing that. I was doing supporting that. And I was just like, this is a great job. But once I bought this desk and finally bought these Mackie monitors, that was it. I remember it was one of my income tax checks I had at the time, and I was just put the last pieces to the puzzle together. And my boys helped me put the desk together and all that. We bought it with the new setup and the speakers, and all three of us, it was two of my boys, we just stood in front, and I looked at them and I was just like, this is it, guys. It's now or never. I gotta go for this. I gotta give it 100%. None of this producing music for an hour or two after my day job, you know, because I'm tired, I'm coming home tired, you know what I mean? Like I'm working 9 to 5 with the train and the transit. I was just like, nah, I was like, it's now or never. So I did it. The very next Monday, I went to work and resigned. I handed them my resignation letter. I said, yo, I love you guys. I love working here, but these are my last 2 weeks. We had a party, the China Club. It was crazy. It was just, everybody was happy. And on my way out, this is what's crazy about the way the world works. There was a dude that I used to see by the coffee machine every day. I didn't know what he did at the office. Yo, what's up, Papa? Yo, what's going on, son? How you doing, man? Yo, what's up, man? How's everything? Oh, no, chilling, you know? I was like, yo, Papa, this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna see you. You know what I'm saying? Yo, take care. He was like, what? Word? What's up? What's going on? You leaving? I was like, yeah, I'm resigning, you know? This is my last week. He was like, word, what you doing? Where you gonna go, to a different company? I was like, nah. I was like, I'm gonna pursue my dreams, son. He was like, what dreams? I was like, yeah, I make music, I produce, you know what I mean? I'm gonna try to go for it full steam ahead. He was like, you do what?
911 emergency. A man has just been murdered. He's dying. He's bleeding to death. Where at? How fast can you respond?
He was like, do you know what I do here? I was like, no. I was like, I have no idea. He was like, I compose and put the graphics together for the TV shows here at MTV. I'm one of the designers. So I was like, oh, word? I was like, oh, that's dope, man. That's a fun job. He was like, no, but you don't get it. We, as the designers, are the ones who pick the music that goes to our shows or the shows that we're in charge of. You know, we each are given shows that we have to produce the graphics for every week and whatnot. And, you know, we have the feel for what type of music we want to go with our show. And, you know, he was like, oh, listen, get me a CD tomorrow. Let me hear what your music sounds like. Because if your music sounds good, I might be able to get you on a show. I was like, word? I was like, yo, that's what's up. You see, that's what's crazy. Like, even though I worked there, you don't really socialize. You know, people, I know people who even work at major record labels and they don't, you know, they're not on. Like, they're artists and they're trying to get signed and they work at BMG, like, and they're not on. It's not as simple as people might think. In fact, it's usually frowned upon if you work there and you're trying to get on yourself. It's like, no, like, you don't know, you're an employee here. Like, that's not, it's kind of like messing around with a chick at work. Like, even though it's tempting, you're not really supposed to do it. So the next day, you better believe it. First thing in the morning, I showed up with a CD of some house stuff. At the time, I was messing around with house music, and I just let him hear some stuff. He was like, yo, son, I heard that CD. That shit was crazy. Yo, I'm working on a show, it's called Cool Crap. I was like, Cool Crap? He was like, yeah, it's just like an auction. And anyway, before you know it, I'm in downtown Manhattan in some big studio where they're doing voiceovers and that, and I'm watching them do some stuff, and he said, look, this is how I want you to do this track. So essentially, I did a custom production for the show. So I went back home, produced the track, and then we brought it down to that big studio. The show aired, I had everybody watching in my family. I was like, yo, that's your music. I mean, it was like 10 seconds. I mean, that's what a show, you know, they call it bumps and transitions, because they're real short, but they pay well. And plus, it's on MTV, the whole world saw it. And I was just like, it's a wrap. He told all the other designers at VH1, at MTV, before you know it, I became the go-to producer for like all of the big shows that MTV and VH1 were doing. We're talking about the New Year's Eve shows, the Sexiest Summer Countdown shows with VH1. They were just throwing me mad shows. It was a real awesome ride. So that's how I got started in the film and television world. I just continued to provide music for them and hit them with the good stuff for several years. So I enjoyed producing for the networks for, you know, some time. But when the job started to slow down, I found myself at a spot where I needed to bring in income in a different way. I was just like, you know, these are great, but just like anything else, it's not going to be forever, and eventually it will slow down a little bit. But the stuff's really getting tough. I found myself at a real financial bind. I didn't really have money to pay the bills. I needed to make something happen, and right away. So I spoke to a couple of friends of mine, and they were like, yo, dude, like, you have the studio set up, you've got the booth set up. Why don't you start booking studio time? Why don't you start getting clients in, and they'll pay you by the hour, and you start recording their demos and engineering. I said, you know, that's a great idea. So I took them on. I started looking around. The newspaper at the time that was great for music here was the Village Voice. And there was like a classified section where there's just nothing but like recording studios and stuff. So I called up the paper, and I was down to just one credit card where I can put any money on it. And that was the American Express. And as you guys know, American Express, you know, you got to pay back the full balance the following month. So I called up the paper, and they were like, yeah, it's gonna cost you $800 to advertise for 1 month. And that's, you know, you have to pay that in advance. So I had a banner designed, and literally the week before my first one is gonna air, your cousin Bin Laden decides to knock down the Twin Towers. Wow, that was absolutely torturous. I felt like I was already at the end of the road. That was it for me. I was at a point where I was just like, you know, if I don't make something happen quick, I'm gonna have to go back to work. Like, I'm not gonna be able to sustain this music business life. It was very short-lived. I was only able to do it for a couple of years, if at that.
And there was a major incident in Lower Manhattan in the World Trade Center, which a plane has crashed into one of the upper floors of the World Trade Center.
Nothing came in whatsoever in terms of phone calls when that advertisement came out. As you can imagine, the entire world was in shock. And obviously, you know, business goes on. It's not like they're gonna stop the newspaper and give everybody their money back and postpone things. No. You know, I just happened to have picked the absolute worst time to ever put an advertisement on a paper for business. 2 weeks or so went by, and I got like 1 or 2 phone calls of people just inquiring, yo, what's up? Yeah, what's up with the studio, son? Like, hey, yo, what's up, man? Can I come through? You know, like, I was like, no, you gotta put a deposit down. We gotta schedule you. This is professional here. Nah, son, like, I'm ready right now. I wanna go right now. Like, I was like, nah, slow down. So it was a bunch of deadbeats, and then finally, I think about the 3rd week, I finally got a phone call from this one gentleman named Menji. And, you know, he was doing the same thing. He was like, yo, let me just show up. And at that point, I was just like, you know, I'm just going to have to bend on these rules of depositing, and at least for the first client, so I can get things rolling here. Because I'm $800 deep, and I didn't get 1 client yet. Anyway, I said, you know what, go ahead, come down in a couple hours, you'll pay on the spot. And whatever, I took a chance, and that was the best chance I took, because that guy became my biggest client. And from there, a lot of clients slowly started coming through once the dust settled from the World Trade Center. People started eventually calling, and before you knew it, that was a full-time job that I did for several years, which is where I learned how to engineer to the degree that I engineer now, and how to mix and master and all that. I mean, we're talking about day and night sessions, to the point where I had to hire a nighttime engineer to do the night sessions.
I've got plans to be a star. I could see my name in lights from afar. And the things I never had will be mine. It's just a matter of time.
A couple of years back, I decided that it was time for me to maybe look into having a manager. And I actually ran into a gentleman a few months after that. His name was Eddie Maduro. And at the time, he had a small independent record label. So he approached me on two different levels. He was like, I like your tracks. Maybe we could put them out on my label. And at the same time, I'm interested in managing you. I have a lot of connects in the business. So I was like, let's go for it. Let's do it. I just felt like I didn't have anything to lose. Of course, we had contracts, everything written. I made sure everything was copacetic. Before you know it, he was throwing me gigs from some of the major labels. Like, he really did have connects. So I definitely highly recommend, if you have an option of seeking a manager, I think it's certainly a good idea to do it. My goal in the music industry, that hasn't changed ever since I started way back. My goal is to win a Grammy, preferably for something in the urban or maybe dance music world. But I'll take it even for a score. You know what I mean? Like, if it's theme music for TV and film, I'm okay with that. It's always been a specific goal of mine to win a Grammy, see it on a shelf behind me at the crib. That would make me feel accomplished in the industry, even though, of course, success is subjective. I personally feel like I've been successful. What I think you shouldn't do, or people shouldn't do in general, is just make that everything. Like, if I didn't win a Grammy, then I failed. Well, no, that's not true. Like, if you're making money in this business and you are making beats and doing what you love on a daily basis, you are already a success. That's considered a success. Whereas, compared to the other person who's just talking and not really walking the action, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and that. Where is it? There's those type of people that they don't walk the walk. I remember when John approached me that they were creating the Beat Brokerz website. They needed some beta testing early on. And of course, John was already somebody I was working with for a while in the beats game, doing marketing, promotion for me. And so we had a business relationship, and I was just like, I felt great. I was just like, you know what? Anything to help you out, because I owed John a lot of the success that I had. He knew the inside scoop on the business way more than I did as far as selling music online. And connecting with him and having him, sort of as a partner through the years really helped me. So I owe a lot of thanks to him. So when John approached me about the Beat Brokerz side, I was just like, oh yeah, just let me know. Whatever advice you guys need, because I did have experience building sites, SEO and marketing on that level, as far as, search engine optimization, which was why we were dominating a lot of the search results at the time, before all the craziness and Google pandas and the monkeys and the whole entire zoo started popping out from under Google's wings a couple of years ago and knocking everybody out. So I definitely jumped on board with him and his partner Kevin. They really put a nice product together at Beat Brokerz, especially more recently when they've even upgraded it further, made it mobile friendly and all that other stuff. So right now, honestly, like, the search engine marketing game is really tough. SoundClick game is gone. That came and went. If you didn't buy your house like some of us did and do some big things with the money you made back then, you missed that boat. And now you have to start all over again, per se, and move on to different avenues. Beat Brokerz is definitely one of those avenues. They have a consistent traffic flow. They have constant buyers. Even when I'm not marketing on there, I'm getting sales there, every couple of days. And I'm just like, wait a minute. My song is, I don't even know where in the charts on their site, and I'm still getting a sale every now and then. It's not saturated with all these guys overpaying for marketing and promotion the way SoundClick is right now. SoundClick, I love it. I owe a lot of my success to SoundClick as well. But everything has its day. I think just the website in general got oversaturated with a lot of guys who were essentially overpaying more and more out of their pockets for marketing and promotion. And it just gets to a point where it's just like, wow, did I do all this just to break even? So with all that being said, in today's day and age, you really need to have as many sources of income as possible. In other words, you have your own site, you can still sell on SoundClick if you are getting some traffic, but more than that, you really gotta have multiple sources. And Beat Brokerz is definitely one of the best places to do that at. If you're not on Beat Brokerz right now, you need to get on that ASAP. Create an account on there, just get all your music up there, and also make sure you get your premium and standard leases up there, because that'll give you an edge over a lot of guys. A lot of guys are afraid to, somebody's gonna steal my track outs, so I'm only gonna sell them secretly to a few people. I'm not gonna put them on any websites. I mean, you can't live from fear like that. If you live from fear like that, you're activating the law of attraction, and that's essentially what is gonna come back to you. Your fear of somebody stealing your music is essentially you asking for somebody to steal your music. That's just how the law of attraction works. Check out the movie The Secret. Check out a lot of the stuff from Bob Proctor. He's in that movie, he's got his own stuff. Run your life by that and you will be very, very successful. As final words, well, right now I'm working on Beats Planet 2.0. Essentially going to be a redesign of the whole website. It's going to have a lot of new features, and it's also going to feature some additional hand-selected producers to work alongside me at the Beats Planet brand. So it'll be about 5 of us all together. We're going to be sort of like the Marvel superheroes of the beat making. It's just going to be like 5 really top-notch dudes, and we're going to be doing it. In addition to that, the bigger picture is the Urban School of Music. That's the big project I'm working on right now. It's going to be an online school about arts, but starting off with music. So it's going to be the Urban School of Music. It's going to have tons of courses on the mixing and mastering, and it's all oriented around urban music. That's why it's called Urban School. We're not going to be showing you how to microphone rock drums. We're not going to show you how to microphone rock guitars. Everything that we're going to show you is going to be something that you can immediately apply in urban music. So if you're doing hip hop, R&B, dance music, essentially everything that's considered urban nowadays, that's the focus of the school. There's nothing like that right now. And in addition to that, the courses that you're going to be taking on there, you're going to be quizzed at the end of all of the different sections, and at the end you receive a certificate of completion that you can use elsewhere for work and other things. Thanks for hanging out with me in Beats Planet 2.0. Peace.
Beats Planet.